So, good morning, guys, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I see that at least the graveyard shift is in full swing, that people tend to stay in the back rows. So, are the people in the back rows mostly Estonian? Hands up, those who are Estonian. Yeah, definitely. Good. We will invite you over to the front rows later on, or at least you have to ask some questions. So the title of the panel was Cosmic Journey of a Startup. So we have a startup which leaves that one of us is Cosmic and the other one is Journey. Since I'm talking, I'm Vaido, I'm from Enterprise Estonia, Startup Estonia, Deep Tech domain is my area, so I'm the journeyman, which leaves Andrus to be the Cosmic guy, yes?
Yeah, yes, thank you very much. Andrus, member of the board at Tartu Science Park. As a Tartu Science Park, we have been first science park in Baltic states, have been around over 32 years already, and with the same mission, to be honest, all over those 3 decades. And the mission is to support science and technology-based startups and companies. And by the way, can we assess this public?
Of course, we can do whatever we want with
How many of you are representatives of startups? Raise your hand, please. Okay. How many of you are representatives of investors network or community? None of them, okay. One, Jan Brax is there. How many of you are representatives of government? Okay. Did I miss someone? I mean, journalist, yes. Very important. By the way, as a science park, we usually are not public. If someone, for example, our startup, raise first round or second round, usually you will see that they are spin-off company of that and that university. You never see science park. Although we started first business incubator center together with ESA and the Estonian Consortium in 2017. So far we have operated 7 years, have onboarded over 30 space tech startups, but we will come to that.
Yeah, let's jump to Henry and...
Yes, thank you for inviting me over to the conference. I'm Henry, CEO and co-founder of Wayren, and at Wayren we are providing uninterrupted communications for mission-critical applications. We started as a defense company, now we are pivoting to a dual-use company. And the reason why we founded this company is due to the fact that our background is in Estonian Cyber Command, where we built the Estonian command and control solutions to plan and monitor and, let's say, conduct operations on the battlefield. And one of the biggest constraints is providing communications that is reliable and available to the troops. And that's why we founded the company, and main part of it is a decentralized data synchronization protocol that works with extremely demanding environments, so a lot of disruptions, packet loss, etc. And currently, we are mainly extending the satellite links via these, let's say, peer-to-peer networks on the battlefield, but we are also looking at ways to use it in space as well, in satellite constellations for exploration of space in general, etc. So thank you for inviting us to talk about our journey in general.
By the way, this is cool tech, right? I needed at least 3 times to hear, to understand a little bit about the tech itself, and it's so cool.
I was last year a couple of times at the universities and in different conferences where I had one slide which titled that everybody loves space tech. If you don't love space tech, it's like you don't like kittens or something. And then I asked how many people in the audience love cats and how many people love dogs. And my assumption was that everybody loves cats. And I was horribly wrong. In all cases, everybody loved dogs more. So I'm no longer sure whether space is cool tech or not. But as one of the space investors says, that nobody ever is ex-space tech, that you just don't see that somebody is ex-space tech. But perhaps a quick, again, grading the temperature of the audience, because we can talk about space business and we can do really the deep dive into Wayren case, about the unit economics and stuff like that. Or we can talk about, the culture and this cosmic journey that the title indicated. So who wants to hear more about business? Like, hands up. The one journalist wants to hear about business. Okay, and who wants to hear more about culture and the inspiring stuff? Zero. Okay, so with
We have very inspired crowd here.
with a like definitive score 1-0, the business wins.
All right,
So
let's talk about business. Yes.
let's talk about business. So how cosmic is space business today? Is it difficult to get people on board? Is it difficult to get the old industry aboard? Is it difficult to get investors aboard? So this is, let's take first Andrus's view from the European Space Agency business incubation part, and then we'll go to the startup.
Usually, you know, you have to separate like a space business into at least two categories. One of them like backbone of which is consists of a space infrastructure. For example, if you go to visit Bolt headquarters in Tallinn and ask, are you like a space tech company? No one tell you they are a space tech company, right? But if you think what is the one single point of failure for them to run their services is the global positioning systems. And if they lost this signal for one day, it will cost them for them at least 4 million per day. And that's only one company, right? So this is like a backbones area. But the other area is new space. And in our portfolio where we have like 31 space tech startups, we have like 1/3 them are related to new space. And some of them already have been in space, like Kolberg Space, and some of them preparing to be part of NASA's Artemis mission, like Crystal Space.
But how easy or how hard it is to get the strategic partners or even mentors or experts on board if you're saying that I'm running a space tech incubator?
Oh, we started in 2016. I don't remember, was Jan Praks also in our first space tech hackathon in Tartu in 2016? But yes, you were there. But definitely, by the way, founders of ISI that time were in Tartu. And then they just had the first proof of concept that it might be work, right? Something like that. Yes. So in Estonia, obviously, you cannot have all these competencies, but you have to look at the new Nordic, and then probably you will have all competencies what you need.
Henry, your take, like,
itself.
are Estonians believers or not of space tech?
Yeah, like Andrus said before, space tech is not only what happens off the planet, but also what happens on the planet. So I think we are in that sense that majority of companies and clients are using either GPS or communications that's coming from space or some data that is gathered from space, etc. So we are believers, but I would say that most, let's say, common use cases are terrestrial, let's say, use cases that are leveraging these technologies. But more and more we see companies that are looking to the new space, let's say, sphere. But in general, like in defense, it's also in space that it's a very long, let's say, process to get to the market. It's government procurements mostly, or very large partners that you're working with. So the technology needs to be unique to be part of that cycle, and it also needs to be quite, let's say, on a high tier level, which means that to get to that point, you need to leverage a lot of different funding incentives, like from the government, also from the investor side. So it's still a balance, not like a regular SaaS company which can enter the market very quickly.
I have twofold follow-up question to you, and do forget that there are two government guys sitting in the last row. So what is the level of general awareness of the space tech field within the government from a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is that they don't understand absolutely anything, or even worse, they get everything wrong. And 10 is that they are really competent. One number. From both of you, yes?
First. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have Paul here. I guess.
Well, without Paul, that's good. Outlier is away. So.
Yeah. But anyway, if you look at the Estonian government contribution to ESA's budget starting from 2015, when we became full member of ESA, then I guess it like 3-4 times have increased the budget itself.
So pre-launch they were like 2, now they are 6.
7 even.
Okay.
And the pre-launch was 1 million or 1.5 or something
Okay,
like
I thought that
that.
pre-launch was 1 and now it's free.
We're still
Okay.
like contributing in 0.1% to ESA's budget, but it's still okay for us.
Henry, your take, general awareness level of the public sector or the government?
Well, this is as the sector matures, this will increase. So I think, like Andrus said, that it's around 5 or 6 or something like that, in my opinion. But as the sector matures, that's how we will grow also there.
Okay, and the general awareness of the industry, of let's say the private sector.
We are like internet.
One number, Andrus, one number.
Wait with the number. I would like to give you content.
I understand that you were in Johannes' show and you are
Yes,
well
yes,
prepped
yes.
how to answer the questions without answering the questions.
Yes,
But,
yes, that's true. I practice. But the truth is that we are like internet on early 90s or late 90s. We don't know where is the next blockbuster or behind the corner, because Skype also happened like suddenly, right? So, but we see that it's something good have happened in Finland because of eyesight, definitely. Something good have happened in Lithuania, Nano Avionic, which was first exit in space market in the Baltics. And now it's acquired by Norwegian Kongsberg. Was it? Did I pronounce correctly?
just asking, when are you getting to the number?
It's slow.
Okay, Henry, among the industry, the general awareness.
Yeah, it's getting there. Our let's say space industry is very young still, so not a lot of not so many, let's say, good examples from such as from the US, etc. So we're in the start, but there are, let's say, some very interesting developments on the horizon to look forward to.
Okay, so still some education is needed. And actually, this is a serious question in our, because if you want to get your investors on board, if you want to get strategic industrial partners on board, then yes, some of them are mission-based, some of them are just enthusiasts, but most of them are still very pragmatic people. And they want some kind of return of investment. They want to understand where they invest and why they are doing something. So what is your point of view from Wayren's journey? So how easy or how hard has it been on explaining what you do, explaining the KPIs, like explaining the milestones and all that stuff? So how quickly actually your counterparts understand you?
Well, it's definitely a problem when you're doing some deep tech, let's say, a company, but it is more a case about finding the right investors or partners in the stage of growth you are. So if you're early stage founder or a company, then you need to talk with early stage investors, or let's say programs, grant programs, which are suited and let's say geared towards deep tech projects. So they have the know-how and the knowledge to understand. But of course, it's a struggle because the team needs to first of all understand that sphere enough to come up with those KPIs, and then the investor or let's say program manager needs to also, if it's a governmental, let's say, program, needs to also be able to understand what you're trying to achieve. And usually the decisive factor is the innovativeness. So you can always say X amount of users in 10 years, but they will believe it if it's something that is going to be, let's say, very unique on the market. Otherwise, it's like a very high risk. So it might be true, but we are not 100% sure.
I'll come back both to the KPIs and funding part. Andrus,
I would
comment.
like to comment
Yes.
Henry's answer, because I believe that at the moment, at least in Estonia, we don't have dedicated space tech investors. We don't have them.
Okay, let's continue with the capital on this one. You know, in the startup world, the kind of general mantra is that you need to secure some funding at home, because nobody at home believes into you. Then why the hell should somebody outside believe into you? So how big of an issue is the lack of capital at home, or not even the lack, but let's say lack of awareness again? So there is like 1.5 billion euros available in dry powder in the Baltics, in private capital, 1.5 billion euros, which is actually seeking to be invested. So why is this money not going to space tech?
Me again, right?
Yeah,
okay,
you.
I guess because all our 10 unicorns are based on software as a service field, right? So we, as an investor, I guess, again, I am not the investor personally, I guess they are looking for capital light, close to revenue, such kind of prospects. But space tech, none of them. And deep tech as well.
Okay,
so
let's
there is a cap.
Let's look at this very early, let's say pre-seed round. So, and you're running an incubator with a lot of pre-seed, seed stage companies.
Yes.
So, what is the kind of first, let's say, 2 investment round size that you should secure either at home or at least close by, ideally?
Henry can comment that as well, but I guess first round pre-seed fund could be like from 300,000 up to 1 million euros.
Okay, and the second one?
Maybe up to 5 million euros.
Okay, and within 2 years, or is that the runway?
That's the tricky question, because somehow in Estonia the cycle is much longer.
Okay.
In order to get first investment.
Okay.
That's the problem, definitely.
So what's the kind of Estonian experience from this initial pre-seed to, let's say, late pre-seed or early seed round?
Maybe Henry, how?
No, we will get to Henry's experience. What's the ESA big kind of company's average?
To be honest, we not complain. It's always like building the market, because we see that our startups have raised over 40 million euros, but most of them public grants.
Okay.
There's only 10 million euros is covered by private investors. So it takes at least like, I don't know, 3-5 years.
Okay, and the public grants are kind of bridging this
yes,
gap
exactly.
in the meanwhile.
We are doing the same with our grant, which is only 60,000 euros, but you at least you can work on your proof of concept or something like that.
Okay, Henry, what was your case? Like this funding rounds wise, the timeline?
So timeline-wise or funding round size wise, what I usually see and what also happened in our experience is that first of all you have a bootstrapping phase.
Okay, how long that last?
It depends on companies. It can be 1 year.
In your case, in Wayren's case?
In our case, this was 1 year process. So this is where you don't have a lot of external funding. People or the founding team is working in other companies, but gathering in their free time to talk about this idea or this, let's say, technology, building a plan, maybe looking for funding in the meantime. So this could be 1 to multiple years. Then pre-seed, usually in our case, and this is also very common, it's like 100 to 200,000 ticket, and this you usually take together with some grants. So in the bootstrapping phase, you write something already and get maybe additional 200, 300 in
Did
grants.
you get it from VCs or angels, or from whom did you get your...
So friends and family mostly.
Okay, FFF.
So in the pre-seed round, you basically have an idea and maybe like half of a team. So
okay.
So grants and friends and family and maybe some angel investors who are active in this sphere, so they know exactly what you're trying to achieve and believe that you can do it. And if you are a pedigree founder, meaning that's like a multiple startup founder, it could be that the pre-seed is much bigger, but like on average, it looks like this. Then the seed, 500 to 1 million, I would say.
How long did it take between the kind of pre-seed and seed for you?
For our case, it was 2 years to get from pre-seed to seed. And this is mainly because the development of the technology, field testing, doing the revisions, that takes a lot of time, and also market analysis. So you have an idea, but you don't know who your clients are, if they're interested, so you're connecting with them, building the technology, and it's still a small team, so it's a lot of things to manage.
Okay, and now you're raising soon, I understood.
Yes, so we finalized the seed round earlier this year. Now we're doing a late seed round and preparing for a Series A next year. So we are already getting to a higher TRL level, ramping up the sales. So we are now in a different stage of the growth of the company.
So actually pretty fast, so less than 2 years from...
But Wayren still like exceptional in that case.
Seed to late seed. And you mentioned actually TRL level, higher TRL level. What does that mean for you? And then you mentioned in the same sentence sales, which sometimes are like contradictory concepts.
By the way, it's a good point, because what I have seen, especially regarding, I'm sorry for telling you that, but especially with the spin-offs from University of Tartu, from all universities, sorry, not Tartu. But what I have seen that it's very difficult for them to switch from technology development to sales mode.
Yep.
It's super hard. And usually like 90% have a solution but don't know the problem. But Wayren was exceptional that they somehow they knew the problem and they had the solution, and now they needed to nail down the first customers.
So did you know the problem, or did you pivot there, or how was this
No, like I said in my intro, we were building the communication systems in Estonian Defense Forces, and we saw from our practice what was missing, and this was the thing that we wanted to build. But when we, let's say, looked at this outside of the market, we realized that critical communication is part of many different industries, like remote industrial operations, logistics, space industry. So it's about building, or let's say, developing the business constantly, and not getting too in love with the technology, because because what you start with the company, what the solutions you start with the company isn't usually what helps you to scale the business. It's usually building the company around the client. So let's say you find the initial clients with your initial solution, but then you start growing around them and building more products, more technologies around them to capture more value from those clients.
Even we'll add some couple of thoughts that usually if you building your first proof of concept, and then you try to prove your visibility, and then you try to prove your value, right? And usually you run a couple of small pilots, which is it doesn't involve any money, and you are happy that you can validate your idea, right? But if your team increasing and your burn rate is much higher, and then you raise first pre-seed, and you're still in piloting phase, sorry guys, you are doomed in couple of months or years at least, because you haven't figured out who is your transformative deal, who is your transformative customer, who help you build your business around the tech. This is the crucial part.
Yeah, I can add to that what I see is that the problem that companies run into early stage especially is that they are constantly doing one-off pilots. So every pilot is completely different. So you're building like let's say a custom solution for that pilot, but there's not like a real plan how to make that pilot project into a actual sales that you can scale.
So how to scale, which was actually my next question regarding the KPIs, that are your KPIs with Wayren the same ones which you had, between pre-seed and seed, and now let's say seed and late seed? So are you actually tracking the same things? And if you can tell, so what are you tracking, or what are your investors looking for?
Obviously, they're not the same, because we always get more knowledge about the market and about the technology's capabilities. But what we are tracking, because our core solution is software-based, number of users, what markets those users are in, either it's defense or civilian sector. Then units sold, because there are certain hardware components, but also very crucially number of strategic partners that we have, because communication by itself is not very useful for the client. It needs to be integrated with like a ecosystem of products, either it's like a software, vehicle, whatever. So we are tracking all those different type of metrics, and also whenever we deliver something, we want to be as high quality as possible. So also the user feedback, what they're saying about the solution and how it's performing. So those are the different metrics. There are, let's say, sub-metrics behind those topics, but those are the general ideas. But when we started, our main KPI was the budget for the R&D team. So when you're starting the company, you're not worried about the sales, but you're worried about where we want to go on the technology side, how much people we need, and how much, let's say, funding we have. So the KPI is a little bit switch.
But can you give us a ballpark figure for this R&D budget in the early years and today?
It depends on the company you're building, but I would say that like a 3 to 4 people team is optimum to make a complex product, because if you have only 2 people, it's going to be very difficult to. Whenever you start field testing, let's say, then the person the one person or the two persons, they're not capable of doing the field test, but at the same time develop the TRL level forward. So you get like a very close loop, let's say, problem.
Okay. Interesting. Because yesterday I had a talk with Business Finland guys who are running their deep tech accelerator and deep tech funding instruments, and then they said that they've been running like a small, let's say, up to 70K business development instrument for startups. And now they're adding there a brief R&D plan, and they're saying that we want to see actually how the companies are also focusing on R&D. So Andrus, does ESA big applicants, do they have to showcase their R&D, or how do you evaluate that?
By the way, ESA's like application is like a full academical business proposal, involved the incubation proposal, which is like up to 10 pages, business proposal up to 20 pages plus executive summary 5 pages, so 35 pages at least in order to apply for ESA's Business Incubation Center. And the incubation proposal usually involves of technology and business development work and tasks. But by the way, to develop technology is super important, right? Especially when the major risk is your technology risk, will it work, right? But in our case, we started to use 4 or 5 years ago a model. Now it's called KTG Innovation Readiness Model, which is a nice model, open source, by the way. But it covers 6 different domains for startup journey. And just one of those domains are technology readiness level, which is like based on NASA approach, and which is everyone knows that. But it also covers your customer readiness. It also covers your business model readiness, intellectual property readiness, funding readiness, what kind of funding are available for you. It also covers team readiness. And it's super nice conversation starter with the founders team, which usually consists of only tech guys or engineers or scientists. Then they start thinking, okay, customer readiness, okay, what does it mean? Oh, business model readiness, do we really need business model? Wow, or funding. And so this is like nice model which you can exercise.
Just out of curiosity, is there anybody in the room who has filled in ESA BIC application?
Oh.
There are 2 guys, so you know the pain. So we can actually ask for during the coffee break, how was it? We have done something either right or wrong, because we have some questions from the audience. Not yet convinced whether it's a good thing or bad thing. But before we get to the audience's question, I have one follow-up question about the strategic partners. So who are those? Are they your customers' strategic partners that you are measuring or looking, or are they your strategic partners?
So the strategic partners are somewhere in between. They are it's like a business to business setup, or business to government setup.
Okay.
So they are integrating the technologies into their product portfolios and reselling, let's say, that technology, or distributing that technology to their customers. So in our case, utilizing our communication for their products, either it's a sensor solution, vehicle, software solution, but they are not our, let's say, clients per se, because they are not purchasing for themselves, but they're integrating to have additional value to their products to resell to their customers.
So you're sort of a living example of this famous Steve Blank value proposition formula, that what are you doing that enables your customer to achieve something with their customers?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool. So let's take the question. How important is it to have a national space legislation / space strategy for the development of a commercial space sector in a country like Estonia? So how important is space legislation for a country like Estonia?
It's under preparation, but we have a space strategy in place, already established a couple of years ago, still like giving us a focus and frame.
Have you read it?
Yeah, sure. I even contributed to make it happen. Yes.
Henry, have you read it?
No, I haven't, but I know
it exists.
I know that it exists, and the general, let's say, principles.
How many people in the audience have read Estonian space strategy?
Oh yes, at least two, yes.
So we
Cool.
have all three in the room. Okay, good.
All three people have read it. Yes, so
Probably
nice.
they were all co-authors. Are you the authors as well, those who raised hands? Okay, one so and so. Okay, cool. But the importance from your point of view as a startup.
Well, of course, it's extremely important if we as a country see that we want to have certain capabilities or foster certain ecosystem. The strategy is a way how we achieve it. So you talked about funding, you talked about the adoption. So those are the vehicles where we can drive those things.
Is there something from a startup point of view that you would love to see in this strategy, or what would helpful or be helpful for you, that you could kind of refer to it, that we have it in the national strategy?
Yep. So for our side, it's a bit different because every, let's say, company has a little bit different things they want to achieve. But it would be, like you said before, local adoption or local support is extremely important, or even, let's say, way to test different products, ideas is extremely important, because if we want to develop something or provide a new solution that is not existing on the market, we need to really understand how it's going to work, what are going to be the pitfalls, and even for the R&D team, they might not be sure how the solution looks like. So having a strategy or having part of the strategy to maybe test out these solutions that the Estonian space industry is planning to put out would be extremely beneficial. So, for example, crisis, let's say communications, how we do that, how we use space technologies for it, etc.
Okay, very brief follow-up question on that one. Should there be also allocated some kind of, let's say, a budget line or a funding instrument to this particular part of the strategy?
Budget line is in it, and also we have initiated many activities.
Okay.
And also support for ESA Business Incubation Center.
So the companies can get some cold hard cash as well to pilot something?
Through ESA, yes. It's through ESA's procurement system, yes.
Okay.
And we help them.
So there are some clauses like...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. You can extend. By the way, Kaupo Vormansik just entered to the room, and he has been part of at least 5 ESA's contract. I am right? Yes. So at least 5. So it's how we can support product and market development still.
Okay, so we have a philosophical question, and this is for you, Andrus. What makes Estonia an attractive country for aspiring space startup founders compared to other EU countries?
That's nice. That's a nice question. Because
I thought Estonia is nice, but okay.
No. Actually, we have several foreign startup founders in our incubation program, and the main idea is that Estonia, let's say, entrepreneurship is hassle-free. To establish companies much easier. With ESA incubation contract, you can enter to LHV, local bank, and open bank account. It's you have very, let's say, closed ecosystem. You can ask advice from Antti Tamm, who is the head of Estonian Space Center. So there is several, you can contact with Jan Braks, Professor Jan Braks, who is in Finland.
So close-knit network, hassle-free. Yeah. Henry, what's your take? What makes Estonia good or bad or ugly?
What makes us good is that we are a small country, which means it's much more simple to ask questions from your potential clients. If you're a business to government type of company, you can talk to the, let's say, decision makers more readily than it's possible in other countries, where it's like very bureaucratic, very, let's say, a lot of different people and nobody really knows who is responsible for what.
Let's say very close network.
Yeah. But the question from looking at investor side, if you're talking with investors, are your investors Estonian or from abroad?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay, let's take the abroad ones then, or the international ones. If you say that you're an Estonian company, Estonian legal entity, do they go like, oh, hell no? Or do they go like,
completely other way around. So we have very unique competences. We have a very good, let's say, perception about our ecosystem, and everybody knows that we are very, let's say, advanced in technology and in software in general. And actually, hardware as well, because most hardware products now are also software defined.
Okay, so space, on Earth seems to be becoming more and more present, and we have like a bunch of speakers already for a couple of days. And I want to return to this Kennedy's famous line that we don't go to space because it's easy, we go there because it's hard. And so when are we again going up there and much more commercially minded in the future?
Let's hope that during a year or two, Crystal Space camera will be on moon rovers, helping this arm, yes, space arm to take examples from the moon. And in my knowledge, they should be at least in 5 moon rovers already. So it's great success. And if we thinking about where is the next blockbuster of space, it's already up and running. We just don't know who.
Yep.
Okay, Henry.
I think it's also connected to your last question about how we are perceived by investors. So I think this is it comes to our own ambition, how far and how fast we want to go. So we are usually lacking, let's say, as a sharp ambition as our colleagues in US. So I think that's the main barrier for us.
Yeah, Estonians we are almost the world champions at skepticism and denying our own accomplishments.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's the thing. There is still a chance to ask one more question from the audience. We have 2 minutes, so any final things that we haven't discussed, but you feel that it's burning in your heart and you want to get it out here to the audience?
Yes, on my own experience, a couple of startups, and with experience with those startups which I have helped and mentored, and them already over 50, I see that there is, let's say, if you take the lifespan of a startup, there is development phase and then early stage growth phase. But before that, it's a very certain phase which I called slow down before run up, which means take it seriously, deal with the customer discovery, deal with the shareholder agreement, deal with the vision, deal with those things before you start development of your new service or application. That's my advice. Slow down before you run up.
Henry.
Yep, so that's a good point, because when you are growing the business, let's say, it's going to be like a completely different experience as a founder and as a team in general. So we are also in a little bit of growth. Let's say, we also have these growth issues. Let's say that the team needs to work on completely different problems, and it might be even a little bit too much to handle. So that's a good point to reevaluate, and also that's the point when you need to really understand who are those key persons who are enabling you to do those things. So not only having engineering team, which usually is the main focus of these companies, but now also having those administrative skill sets into the company as well, bringing them in to help those engineering team to achieve the best they can do.
So with 5 seconds, how big will Wayren be in 2027?
2027, we would like to be around, I would say, 30 to 40 people in that terms. But also we would like to be at least up and coming main key player in the defense sphere, but also in industrial operations.
All right. Good luck with the journey.
Good luck. Yes.
There's a big thank you for the audience. We are out of our time.
Thank you. Yes.